Welcome to Paper Crafters Library. In this video I'm going to show you how to create this With Love greeting card. So let's get started. You're going to need a 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece of Sweet Blush cardstock from Paper Tray. I've gone ahead and scored it down the center at 5 1/2 inches with my paper trimmer and scoring blade, and I'm going to fold and crease along that score line with my bone folder, creating a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch standard size card base. You're going to set this aside for a moment, and you're now going to need a piece of designer paper that measures 3 inches by 3 3/4 inch piece, and this is the Sweet Blush pattern found in the 2008 Bitty Dots Basics collection from Paper Tray. So this piece you're going to center and stick to a piece of Whisper White cardstock that measures 3 1/8 by 3 7/8 using your double-sided adhesive. At this time, I would also recommend that you plug in your hot glue gun so that it is already heated up when we need to add in our embellishments. So once this is matted, you're going to then need a piece of glimmer paper, and my piece of glimmer paper measures 3/4 inch by 3 1/8. I actually have a longer piece to start with because I started off with a 12-inch strip, which I already added my Big Shot multi-purpose adhesive sheet to the back. So when you trim your piece of glimmer paper down to the 3/4 inch, also cut a 3/4 inch piece of the multi-purpose adhesive sheet. Then you're going to peel off the backing and stick it to the back of your glimmer paper. That just enables you to create your glimmer paper, and this is now a self-adhesive strip of glimmer paper. You're going to take the glimmer paper, peel off part of the backing, and I'm just going to stick this to the bottom portion of my matted cardstock here, my matted designer paper, and I'm sticking this to the cardstock so that I have just over 1/2 inch still showing of my designer paper along the bottom. And because I just used the strip, then you will just use the edge of your cardstock to trim off that glimmer paper. If you started with a 3/4 inch by 3 1/8 inch piece of glimmer paper, then you don't need to trim that. Once you have your glimmer paper added, you're then going to need a piece of white satin ribbon, and this is the 1/2 inch satin ribbon, and we're going to stick this or lay this across the glimmer paper, wrapping the right hand end around to the back and sticking that down with your double-sided adhesive. I want to then add a little bit of adhesive across the middle portion of my ribbon and wrap that over top of my glimmer paper, leaving equal borders on the top and bottom, and wrapping that towards the left-hand side. So you can see that I've just wrapped the right-hand side of my ribbon, laid it across my glimmer paper so you can still see the equal border of glimmer paper above and below. Then you're going to take your ribbon scissors, you're going to cut a fishtail in the left-hand side of your ribbon, still hanging off that left-hand side of your matted designer paper. Once you have this completed, we're going to bring our card base back in. You're going to stamp your greeting along the bottom portion of your card base using your matted designer paper here as a guide as to where to stamp it. So I'm just going to leave equal borders on the top left and right of my card base, and I'm just laying my matted designer paper in place so that I know exactly where to stamp my greeting. I chose this With Love greeting found in the hand-penned holidays collection from Stampin' Up, and I'm going to stamp it using my jet black archival ink from Ranger. So I'm just going to ink up my greeting, and because I know that I have this bottom space here, the matted designer paper will show me where to actually stamp this. So then you can go ahead and stamp it along the bottom edge of your cardstock. Once you have your greeting stamped, you can set aside your ink as well as your stamp. And you're now going to stick your matted designer paper to your card base, exactly where you had it positioned, using some Stampin' Dimensionals. So you're just going to apply a few Stampin' Dimensionals to the back of your matted designer paper. Peel off the backings, and then you're going to stick that down again, like I stated earlier, leaving equal borders around the left, top, and right hand sides of our matted designer paper. So now we're ready to add in our embellishments or create our embellishments. So you're going to set aside your card base for a moment, and you're going to need a heart chipboard element, and this is the artisan chipboard pieces from Pink Paisley, and these are really neat because they're already stamped with this beautiful script, but when you add ink to them they reveal a pattern behind it as well, so it's clear embossed to add this beautiful pattern, so it'll resist some ink when you add it. You're also going to need a large arrow found in the Arrows artisan chipboard from Pink Paisley as well. So like I said, these are customized in color, so you can add in whatever color you wish. We're going to tint each of these using my Pink Pirouette Classic ink pad from Stampin' Up! And a wedge of a stamping sponge. So all you want to do is make sure that you ink up your sponge, and you're just going to apply ink to each of your chipboard pieces, rubbing that into the chipboard. And while you're doing so, you'll see that this beautiful pattern is revealed with the embossed pattern on the background. So just keep working the ink in, revealing that pattern. And you'll do the same thing to your arrow. So you'll just add in the ink by rubbing it, circular motion or back and forth, however you wish to do it. Just keep picking up ink until you're happy with the color, inking that up both pieces. So now I've inked up both of my chipboard pieces, so you can set aside your ink as well as your wedge of your stamping sponge, and you can see once you inked it up, it does reveal the embossed image on each of your chipboard pieces, and they are different. I have a chevron pattern to my heart and a checked pattern to my arrow, so the arrow actually only has slight pattern revealed. This actually absorbs more ink. You're going to now bring your base from your card back in, and this is when you're going to need your hot glue, so I hope that you had it heating up. You're going to add some hot glue to the back of your arrow. You're going to stick this down on an angle with your arrow pointing up into the top right hand corner. At this time you will then add a little bit of hot glue to the the top portion of your arrow, and you're now going to stick your heart to that. And you want the heart to be centered in that cardstock window. So once you have that in place, we're now ready to add in our final embellishments. So I'm going to add a large rhinestone from Stampin' Up's Basic Rhinestones collection to the end of my ribbon here, and that just will add this beautiful embellishment, picking up the glint from our glimmer paper. So I'm just adding that in as a highlight to highlight the edge of our ribbon. And then I'm going to trim off 2 small sections from the strips of rhinestones. So I'm going to trim off 2 rhinestones and then a strip of 4. My strip of 2 I'm actually going to highlight the arrow with at the top or the head of the arrow. Sticking that down into place directly to that portion of the arrow. And then I'm going to take my section of 4 rhinestones here, and I'm going to add it to the tail. Again, just picking up that glint from the glimmer paper and adding a beautiful shimmer to this very pink card. So just stick that down right to the arrow. So it just adds that beautiful embellishment to your chipboard embellishments. And there you have your finished with love greeting card. I hope you enjoyed stamping with me. If you enjoyed this video, you enjoyed the way we teach and would like to learn even more, we invite you to check out the Paper Crafters Library. Whether you're a beginner looking to learn the basics or an advanced paper crafter looking to learn new skills and techniques, you'll find it all here. Stamping, card making, scrapbooking, altered art, we cover it all. With over 1,000 videos currently in our library and over 50 videos added each month, we are the largest and most comprehensive online library of video tutorials for paper crafters on the internet. We invite you to visit our library and see what we're all about.